You know that feeling, right? When you look back at something that happened and just think, if only. If only I'd known, if only I'd said something. Well, in Spanish, there's a phrase that perfectly captures that feeling. And today, we're going to totally unlock how you can talk about all those what ifs. So here it is, haberlo dicho antes. Now, a literal translation is something like to have said it before. But what it really means, what it feels like, is that punch in the gut of you should have said something sooner. It's just loaded with regret, with frustration, that classic missed opportunity. This is our key. So what's the secret? What gives this little phrase so much power? Well, it all comes down to a really cool piece of advanced Spanish grammar. Think of it as the linguistic tool that lets you stand right here in the present and point back to a specific moment in the past and say exactly how you feel about it. Let's dig in. Okay, first things first. We've got to get our heads around the basic concept here. It's called anterioridad, which, I know it sounds super academic, but it's really just a fancy way of saying that one thing happened before something else. Simple as that. And the main tool we use for this is the compound infinitive, and look how simple it is to make. It's just haber plus a past participle. That's it. Its whole job, its entire reason for being, is to act like a timestamp. It tells you, hey, this action, it's already finished, it's done, before we even get to the main feeling or action. Okay, now this is where the magic really happens. Look at this comparison, because it makes everything so clear. On the left, lamento llegar tarde. I'm sorry for arriving late. My apology is happening right now as I'm arriving. It's all in the same moment. But look at the right. Lamento haber llegado tarde. I'm sorry for having arrived late. My regret is now, but my arrival, that's in the past. It already happened. See that little haber? It creates this incredible gap in time. It's a total game changer. And hey, Spanish has another tool in its kit that does pretty much the same thing. It's the compound gerund. You build it with habiendo plus a past participle. Same idea, different flavor. It's just another clear signal that one action was all wrapped up before the next one even started. All right, so we've got the grammatical building blocks, but how do we actually use them to talk about these really complex feelings? Well, this is how we start to build the language of regret, or satisfaction, or even blame. Let's see how it works in the wild. This is where it gets super useful in everyday life. You just pair these verbs of emotion with the compound infinitive. It lets you ground your feelings right here in the present while talking about something that's totally finished. Me alegro de haber venido means, right now I'm happy that I came. Or, siento no haberte llamado. Right now I feel bad that I didn't call you. The feeling is now, but the action is then. And this is the part I think is so brilliant. You can get even more specific just by popping in a little preposition. That one tiny word can transform the whole phrase. Al haber terminado tells you when. Por no haber estudiado tells you why. And my favorite, de haberlo sabido, if I had known. That one opens up a whole alternate reality, right? The ultimate what if. Okay, let's pull all these threads together. Let's take this out of the textbook and drop it into a much more intense, real-world situation, like a tense meeting after a project has gone completely off the rails. So picture this. You're in a conference room, everybody's a little on edge, you're trying to figure out what went wrong with a huge project. People need to be careful with their words, right? They need to express regrets, maybe shift a little blame, but with absolute precision. So, someone speaks up. I recognize my mistake in not having consulted everyone. Notice how I no haber consultado just perfectly pins the mistake to a very specific thing that didn't happen in the past. It's not just a vague oops, it's a very clear, formal way of taking ownership of a past action, or in this case, inaction. Ooh, okay, now listen to the tone shift here. Precisely, it frustrates me to have lost so much time. Do you hear that? This isn't just about feeling bad anymore. This is a reproach. The speaker is frustrated now about the time that was lost back then. And by mentioning that unilateral decision, they're definitely pointing a finger without being overly aggressive. It's subtle and very effective. And there it is, the compound gerund making its grand entrance. Having seen the results, it's clear it was a bad strategy. This is all about cause and effect. It establishes a finished past action, we saw the results, as the reason for the conclusion we're making right now. It draws a perfectly straight line from a past event to a present understanding. So what's the big takeaway here? Honestly, the best way to think about this is like having a temporal zoom lens. It lets you stand firmly in your present moment, look back, and zoom in with crystal clarity on one finished action in the past, and then describe exactly how you feel about that moment right now. So, I'm going to turn it over to you. What story would you tell? Think about it for a second. A moment you're really proud of, or maybe one that still makes you cringe a little. A time you wish you could have just said something sooner. How would you use these forms to tell that story?